This might be the most underrated sweep in Jiu Jitsu. Everybody knows the knee lever sweep. Some people call it the John Wayne sweep, but almost nobody actually builds a real system around it, and that's a mistake. Because not only is it a great offensive move, it's also one of the best defensive movements in all of grappling. When you understand how the knee lever actually works, it becomes one of the easiest ways to off-balance heavy top players, force reactions, and start chaining into wrestle-ups, underhooks, back takes, and even leg locks. So in this video, I'm going to show you why the knee lever is way more powerful than most people realize, and how to actually make it work in both gi and no gi. First, let's talk about what the knee lever sweep actually is, and how it works. The knee lever sweep is usually done with a half guard style configuration. Traditionally, your bottom leg is doing the main work. Your foot goes to the floor on the outside of your partner's leg, which helps prevent them from posting. Then, your knee lifts upwards and wedges underneath their hips. That upward lift is the actual lever motion. What you're trying to do is bring their hips over their ankle and create an off balance that makes them light, unstable, and easy to tip. And that's what makes this movement so powerful. You're using one limb to create the off balance. That means your other limbs are still free to do other jobs, like block a post, control an underhook, trap an arm, attack a wrestle up, or even transition into the next layer of your offense. So even if you don't finish the sweep directly, the knee lever still forces a reaction, and that reaction is usually where the real game starts. Now we usually hit the knee lever from a few different positions. The most traditional one is half guard, because your opponent is already grounded on their knees, which makes the mechanics very easy to hit. But we can also hit this from a butterfly half guard, or a shin to shin. When we hit it from shin on shin, we can use our shin to push our partner's leg out and make their knee hit the floor. So while most people think of this as just a half guard sweep, it's really more of a mechanic that you can use from different positions as long as your leg is in between your opponent's legs. One of the biggest prerequisites for the knee lever sweep is simple. Your opponent's knee has to be on the floor. That's the detail that a lot of people miss. If their knee is floating, or if they're standing too tall, the lever usually isn't there yet. But once their knee drops to the mat, now their base becomes much easier to manipulate. That's when your bottom leg can start lifting under the hips, shifting their weight over their own ankle, and creating the off balance. So before you even think about the sweep itself, the first question should be, can I get their knee to the floor? And if the answer is yes, the knee lever is probably available. So now that we understand how the knee lever works, let's talk about how to actually set it up. For this sweep to work, we need to be able to block the post in the direction we're trying to sweep. In the gi, that can be as simple as controlling the sleeve. But in no gi, a single wrist grip usually isn't enough to reliably control your opponent's arm. So instead, I prefer using a 2-on-1 wrist grip. If your opponent is still standing, you can use that 2-on-1 to pull them forward while keeping one leg between their legs and the other in a shin-to-shin configuration. As their weight starts to come forward, you can push their ankle backwards and force them to drop to a knee. Once that knee hits the mat, now we're in business. From here, you can twist outward while adding a small bridge, and that's what helps facilitate the sweep. If your opponent is able to post, that's totally fine. That actually opens up a lot of follow-up options. You can use that post to come up on an underhook and start wrestling up, or you can start sweeping in the other direction. And if you have a more leg lock focused game, this is a great moment to enter into ashi on the far leg. No matter what style of guard you play, this sweep is one of those movements that becomes foundational. It's not just a sweep, it's a way to force reactions and start building the rest of your game. Earlier, I mentioned that the knee lever isn't just an offensive sweep. It's also one of the most useful defensive movements in guard. And honestly, this is something I really wish I understood when I was a white belt. When you're newer to guard, one of the most common bad positions you end up in is a flattened out half guard. You get stuck on your back, your frames are gone, and it feels like you're about to get smashed. But the knee lever gives you a really simple answer here. From this position, we can use the knee lever to either sweep, or at the very least, create enough space to get our frames back in and get back on our side. When your opponent is driving into you to flatten you out, they're usually trying to dig for the underhook. As they do that, we clamp down with an overhook to help block their post. And at the same time, we time the knee lever. We twist our hips, and we add a small little bridge to direct them outward into the sweep. If you need to, you can use your opposite hand in the hip to help push them up and over. If they base backwards instead of committing forward, that's still a win for us. That gives us the space to reestablish our frames, or even pummel for our own underhook, so we can get back down to our side and start building up again. And if they shift their weight in a way that makes their knee light, we can slide in a butterfly hook and transition to an even stronger sweep on the opposite side. That little back and forth between the knee lever, recovering frames, pummeling underhooks, and inserting butterfly hooks is honestly one of the core patterns I've used for years to stop getting stuck flat on my back. It's simple, but it's incredibly effective. So when you really zoom out, the knee lever isn't just a sweep. It's a foundational movement. It gives you a way to off-balance heavy top players, force reactions, recover from bad half guard positions, and start chaining into the rest of your game. If they post, you can wrestle up. If they base back, you can recover your frames. If they make their knee light, you can bring in the butterfly hook. And if your game leans more toward leg locks, you can use those reactions to start entering into ashi and attacking the far leg. And that's really the bigger lesson here. The best guards aren't built around just one move, they're built around reactions. The knee lever is one of the simplest and most effective ways to start creating those reactions from half guard, which is why this move has stayed relevant for so long. It works in gi, it works in no gi, it works when you're attacking, and it works when you're stuck in a bad position. That's why I think the knee lever is one of the most underrated sweeps in jiu-jitsu. If this video helped, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what system you'd like for me to break down next time. I'll catch you guys on the next one.